All right, coming up next, Jaejoong Kim, I hope I say this right, from the University of Wisconsin, enlightening us about the hypothalamus. We really have them all here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jaejoong Kim, and I'm a research track psychiatry resident at the University of Minnesota. Today, I'm going to talk about the research I did when I was a postdoc at Caltech with Professor Dean Mobbs. And the title of this research is The Human Hypothalamus Coordinates the Switching Between the Different Survival Actions. And in this study, I'm going to talk about the behavior role of the human hypothalamus, which has been investigated in compared to animal studies. So I've got nothing to disclose. So what is the hypothalamus? This is the primitive brain region that has been preserved throughout the evolutionary processes, and it has been known for its importance in maintenance of homeostasis, especially through hormonal regulation. However, to maintain our homeostasis and survival, adjusting internal status this like passively is not enough. Sometimes we need to actively regulate the internal status through an interaction with outside world, especially through a behavior. So the recent animal studies show that hypothalamus actively regulates the homeostasis through multiple behavior strategies such as hunting, avoidance, and escaping. And these studies also show that connection between hypothalamus and other regions like periarchitecture gray, which is an innate reactive region, as well as a high-level cognitive area like PFC, is involved in the coordination of survival-related actions. And one important aspect of survival-related behaviors are flexible switching between multiple behavior strategies, such as hunting to escaping and the avoidance to feeding. And this study of Lee et al., this is my study, and showed that the hypothalamic periarchitecture gray circuit is important for switching between predation and evasion strategies. What they showed is that optogenetic stimulation of the GABAergic neuron from lateral hypothalamus to a PAG induces switching from evasion to predation, while the glutaminergic stimulation causes the opposite directional change. So, despite this, a lot of studies showing the role of hypothalamus in behavior, the human evidence is supporting this is lacking. So our goal here is to investigate the role of human hypothalamus in coordination of switching between hunting and escaping behavior. And there are several reasons why there aren't many studies showing the role of human hypothalamus in behavior coordination. And one of the most important reasons is that it is very small, and even worse, it is composed of multiple smaller nuclei that have very heterogeneous functions. So to address these difficulties, we optimize the MRI sequences and apply the precise individualized segmentation algorithms. And we also applied multi-voxel pattern analysis, which takes into account the voxel level heterogeneity. And the last problem about studying hypothalamus is a lack of appropriate behavior paradigm. So we introduced a novel experimental paradigm that mimics the animal studies. So our hypothesis was that human hypothalamus will coordinate the switching between different survival actions. And if that is the case, we expect that we will be able to decode the switching information inside the hypothalamus. And also expect that hypothalamic connection with other regions, including a periarchitecture gray, will be involved in switching between hunting and escaping behavior. And lastly, if that hypothalamus is involved in the coordination of behavior itself after switching, then the strength of neural signal indicating switching in the hypothalamus would predict the coordination of optimal survival-related behavior. So to test this hypothesis, we developed this naturalistic experimental paradigm called hunt escaping task. In this task, player had to randomly alternate between a hunting task and the escaping task. In the hunting task, they had to chase the AI agent with the joystick, while in the escaping task, they had to escape from this AI agent. And when the type of this task randomly changes, the identity of the AI agent changes, for example, from the predator to prey or prey to predator. And the participant got a point for success, and for the failure, they lost a point, as well as getting a random shock. So this is the screen, shot of the actual experiment. This is the hunting task, and you can see the players are chasing the AI agent. And at some point, this task changes into an escaping task, and the AI agent changes its role from the prey to predator. And the goal of the behavior analysis was to find out the characteristics of each survivor behavior as well as their differences. And you can see that escaping behavior is more variable and stochastic than a hunting behavior. And the hunting behavior was more linear and goal-directed. And to formally explain these behavior characteristics, in terms of like movement generation processes, we developed a computation model of these behaviors. And the winning model was the one that agent makes a prediction of virtual agent's future position based on their internal model. And they utilize this kind of predictive model to guide the behavior rather than just utilizing a current positional information. And this result of predictive escaping and hunting behavior is consistent with the recent study of Yu et al., showing the monkeys making a predictive pursuit. And another important aspect of this model is that it's a stochasticity of behavior, which depends on this parameter tau. And more importantly, this model revealed the differences of movement generation processes between hunting and escaping behavior in terms of movement generation parameter setting. So the classifier trained on the parameter spaces to discriminate the current task condition showed the accuracy of about 90%. And the escaping behavior was more stochastic with the low tau parameter and was more reactive with less planning parameter. So given this different parameter settings between two conditions, we can expect that there might be generation parameter settings optimized for each condition. For example, like optimal parameter settings for hunting behavior versus optimal parameter settings for escaping behavior. So here we define the quantity Cp as a degree to which the current movement parameter setting is specific to current condition that participants are playing. And this basically means the optimality of the movement generation process given current condition. And consistent with this, the higher Cp was associated with the higher success rate. And in the ephemeral analysis, our goal was to identify the role of human hypothalamus in switching between escaping and hunting, and we selected 9 regions of interest, including hypothalamus, and we utilized an individualized segmentation algorithm of hypothalamic subnuclei and defined the hypothalamic ROI to include the lateral hypothalamus and the ventral medial hypothalamus, which has been consistently involved in behavior coordination in animal studies. Also, we selected 8 other ROIs, which has been involved in either survival-related behavior or task switching. So this is the result from the multivoxel pattern analysis, and we found that the hypothalamus, as well as the PAG, encodes an information regarding switching between hunting and escaping, which is consistent with the animal studies. And we also found that the hippocampus encodes this information too. And interestingly, when we performed the same MVP analysis to decode the switching information in another non-survivor motor switching task, hypothalamus did not encode any switching information, suggesting that this region might be only related to a switching between a survivor-related actions. Then, we expected that the hypothalamus, as well as other regions encoding switching, would be connected while switching is happening. To show this, we utilize a method called information connectivity analysis, which sees the covariation between each region's time courses of multivoxel representation. Again, as in the animal studies, we found that the hypothalamic representation of switching is synchronized with the periarchitecture gray. And we also found that other than this hypothalamic PAG circuit, which is an innate and reactive circuit that has been preserved throughout the evolution, this hypothalamic PAG circuit is also connected to some cognitive switching area, including a PFC and thalamus. Lastly, we try to find out, although we showed that this hypothalamus and other regions encode an information regarding switching, but we still don't know whether these regions are related to coordination itself. So we expect that if these regions are related to coordination of the behavior, then the strong ball signal indicating a switching would predict more optimal movement generation process after switching. Here, interestingly, although there were three regions like hippocampus, hypothalamus, and PAG that encode switching information, only the hypothalamic switching signal predicted an optimal behavior after switching in the regression analysis of predicting CP, a quantity reflecting the optimality of the movement generation process. But this signal did not predict optimal behavior after staying condition, meaning that hypothalamus might be involved in the coordination of behavior only after switching. Lastly, we tested if this optimal coordination from the hypothalamic signal requires a synchronization with the other regions. And we found that the optimal coordination after switching only happens when the hypothalamus is connected to an amygdala, especially a centromedial amygdala rather than a basolateral part of the amygdala. So in conclusion, we found that the human hypothalamus encodes an information regarding the switching between different survival actions, and there was a network level interaction when the switching is happening, especially including hypothalamic PAG circuit, which is an innate and reactive circuit, as well as an interaction with cognitive switching circuits like PFC and thalamus. Lastly, hypothalamus was the only region that was associated with the optimal behavior coordination, which required a synchronization with the amygdala. So overall, I would like to emphasize that hypothalamus is not just a region regulating internal status through hormone, but it might actively maintain a homeostasis through a flexibly coordinating appropriate survival mode, including a behavior coordination. So thank you for listening, and I would like to appreciate my mentor, Dean Mops and Caltech, who is an amazing researcher full of creative ideas, and I would like to also thank my colleague, Sarah, who is an assistant professor at University of Melbourne. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the wonderful talk. Yeah, I think we have only time for one question. But if there is no, I have one question. So this is the game, not real survival, right? And then hunting and yeah, those behaviors are not actual kind of in the naturalistic setting, right? And there could be any differences in the role of hypothalamus in the real situation versus this game situation?
That's a very good question. Thank you so much. Yeah, so this is like gamified environment rather than like real like survivor like in animal studies, but we try to find kind of like middle ground between just like very confined task environment as in usual human studies, and also between these animal studies. So I think like in the real situation, when like if we are in that situation like in animal, I would expect that there will be some like stronger like hypothalamic activation, as well as some stronger involvement in this like reactive circuit rather than a cognitive switching circuit. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.